Hi, I'm Femi Okay.
And I'm Malika Bilal. What does it mean to be an Arab American?
Today, comedian Ramy Youssef joins the stream to discuss his new Hulu series about family and identity.
And we'll be sharing your comments and questions with Ramy. So tweet us or leave a comment in our live YouTube chat, and you too could be in the stream.
There's a growing cultural shift in American Muslim identity being forged by millennials.
These first-generation 20s and 30s Muslims grew up in the wake of the September 11th Twin Towers attacks, feeling as if their entire identity focused on being good Muslims.
So comedian Ramy Youssef explores this paradigm in his new streaming TV show, Ramy. Have a look.
I want to know who I am. I want to explore.
You're like the kids in Egypt. They throw down the government. Big revolution. Then what? No plan.
I don't know what I'm doing, man. I look at my parents and how strong they are and how they just know everything's gonna be okay because they have God. And yeah, I have sex even though I'm not married. Where are you gonna go? So what? That means I'm not a good Muslim? I'm just like trying to be good.
Comedian and director Ramy Youssef is watching himself on our TV screen, and he is live here on the stream. What were you thinking as you were looking at yourself?
I was like, are they going to edit that last part out? And then they did. Yeah, there's a line in there.
Family friendly.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's what I was really curious about.
So good to have you here. We have so much to talk about, Malika. You start.
So I want to dive right in because, of course, this premiered last week. This was on Friday. And so over the weekend, lots of people binged watched it. And then they tweeted us. They let us know what they think about it. So I want to start here on Twitter. This is Mo for America, who writes, more people than not never met a Muslim or thought that they never met a Muslim in real life. Ramy is one brick to consolidate the gap of public knowledge of who Muslims are and what Islam is in America. So a succinct way of putting it there, but there's someone else who sent us a video comment who has a little bit more enthusiasm for this series. This is Miriam Masri. She is a nurse practitioner in New York, and here's what she thinks of the series.
Oh my God, where was this show growing up? I can't believe this is on mainstream TV for once. I found the writing like simple, but it was so funny. It was captivating. There were so many underlying themes. At times it was raunchy, but hey, we needed this. For the first time ever, somebody from our community is taking our narrative and just putting it out there. I know it's been really controversial between my friends and I, but I absolutely love debating this. And hopefully there's another season, and maybe in the future there's going to be a Muslim American version using a female instead as a main character.
Giving you some ideas there, but she talks about people debating this, and that's been happening. Talk to us about the genesis behind this series, and is that something that you wanted, that debate to start happening?
Yeah, this is not feel-good TV. I think it's feeling TV. I think it's about discussing feelings. That's all that I set out to do with this. These aren't facts. This isn't a how-to. This isn't anything other than a look at this very specific type of family. And I think the debate is really exciting. I think the conversation is really cool. I love hearing it, and I've been scrolling and seeing memes and critiques, and I send them to my friends.
Oh man, you're already a GIF. Because I was looking through Twitter to see if Ramy has GIFs yet, and you have several, which is like a week. How can you have a GIF in a week? Which is extraordinary. I think one of the reasons why this series is so different is because it tackles head-on taboos, relishes them. You go deep into them. There's misogyny, there's racism, there's anti-Semitism. Why did you feel that it was important to put all of that into something that is a drama but also a comedy?
I think it's important to see a reflection of the real world accurately. I think that certain choices, like we have an uncle character who encompasses a lot of the things that you just brought up. And it was really important for me to establish him early on in a TV show. Because television is about planting seeds of characters and certain things that you're gonna see grow, and you're gonna see how we deal with them. We don't deal with them right away because we've paced this show, I think, in a way that's a little more real to real life. Usually you kind of hear that uncle say things for years and years and years, and then one day you're like, all right, we got to talk about this. And seeing him was really important. I mean, this is a show that in 10 episodes, I think we have one conversation about Trump. This is not about being defined in the shadow of him, but we do have Uncle Nassim. You know, every family has this type of person that is Trump. I mean, when we talk about the Egyptian Revolution and the change, or maybe what people feel like is a lack thereof change afterwards, I remember reading a quote that said, yeah, we brought down a dictatorship, but that way of thinking, that dictatorship is in every household. We got to talk about it within our families. So it was really important to see that up top.
What kind of thing would Uncle Nassim say? What kind of thing would Uncle Nassim say? Just to give a sense of the idea that he feels like a character from 1970s sitcoms in the US, but he's actually acting and reacting in 2018, 2019. So can you give our audience a sense of the way that he thinks or sees the world?
Well, I think it's very limited. I think he's someone who blames his problems on a lot of different people and has a limited scope, but I wouldn't put him in a 1970s caricature bucket. I think he exists in a lot of families. Sure. And I think if he's in some Arab family saying these things, he's also, I've had Jewish friends be like, I have an uncle who blames everything on Muslims. And I know other people who are like, no, I have an uncle who blames everything on black people. And so we see all of this in every family.
Uncle.
Yeah, the character is algebraic. You know, I mean, you could swap out what he's saying and put it in for somebody else. So I think everyone watching this show sees their family in it. I do think that Arabs watching the show maybe will have a hypersensitivity because we're living in a time where Ilhan is being called certain things just because she criticized the government. And so we're kind of lumped into this idea, and I respect that sensitivity, but I think that we're outweighing those risks by showing this character and introducing him in a way where we can hopefully deal with him in the context of the show.
And Ilhan Omar is a congresswoman in the United States who is getting a lot of attention because she is Muslim and very outspoken.
Yeah.
So one of the tweets here is picking up on what you were just saying about having these conversations that are often uncomfortable. So Miral here says, what was the most difficult thing about bringing this script to life? And were you nervous about the way that your representation of Muslims would be received by Muslims? Because of course, if you've spent any time in this community, the Muslim community, you know that people will have a lot to say about the way that dirty laundry is aired.
Yeah. Of course I was worried. I love this community. I don't want to seem like I had no qualms about what I was doing. I put a lot of thought into it. But ultimately, I realized that I just had to make a story that was something that I would want to watch, and in a way that I think things can be dealt with. And so it's just my approach. That's why I call the show Ramy, and I've never tried to make it seem broader in any way than that. So of course, but I think if you operate from what the Arab Muslim community and the wider Muslim community thinks and wants, I think as an artist you get handicapped in making the thing that you want to make. You get thrown off of your goals because we have such little representation. That's true, but if you operate from that scarcity, there's no way to expand, and so there's no way to make anything.
I have a picture here of your TV family, your Ramy Hassan's family, right here on my laptop.
Oh, cool.
And a lot of people are reacting to the family drama that goes beyond being a Muslim American, a Muslim Arab American. It's about family drama. It's like going out, dating, mum is not being paid attention to, dad is watching his sitcoms, all that kind of stuff. How did you build that into it as well? There's multiple things that you're trying to do in the series.
Well, the whole show, really, I based a lot of the approach off my stand-up. So my stand-up is not me getting up there saying, hey, I'm a good guy, I'm a cool guy, hey, I'm lovable, and I'm Muslim, wow, who would have thought? I'm not really interested in that. For me, it's about interrogating myself and my intentions, and it's about trying to imagine what I think is the higher version of myself, which is a version that's why I am drawn to being Muslim. That is why that is a huge part of my identity. I'm trying to get that out of myself. Sure. And so this family is built around that interrogation. They're interrogating one another, they're interrogating Ramy, they're also looking at each other. It's introspective by design. And when you're doing that, you want to lead with conflict and problems that are grounded in reality. So it's none of this is about being sensational, but it's about getting to the core of our intentions in an honest way. It's about trying to live in the truth.
And interrogation in any form is always kind of a messy process, especially when you are, as you mentioned, this is a story about one person and that one person's family, and yet other people will see themselves.
Yeah.
And so take a look at this. This is a little bit of criticism. This is Sopi on Twitter who says, I'm just waiting for a day that a Muslim show isn't about someone struggling to hold on to Islam. Yes, the struggles exist in our community, but it's now radicalizing the quote-unquote practicing Muslims in the eyes of the non-Muslims and is normalizing the sins to the actual Muslims. So that's one take on it. Here's another one. This is Arab Amrikiya.
Could we focus on that first take?
Of course, yeah, go for it.
Just so that we don't lump things up. It's an interesting point. I think that there's a lot of guilt in this show. So I don't really see a lot happening in this show where we're openly promoting and being like, that was the right choice. By design, Ramy's a really flawed character. I mean, arguably, he might not even be your favorite likable character. Like he's messing up every step that he takes. And I don't feel like this is a promotion of sins. If anything, the idea of being on the straight path is glorified. Religion is not even questioned or vilified in the way that it is in a lot of other art. And it's also interesting when people are saying, I'm waiting for the day when we have a show, as if there's this like bank of shows. Like sometimes people are like, why does every show? And I'm like, what shows? Like what movies? Like do we have 10? Do we have 10 in contemporary? And I think that's a stretch.
You must have counted them. How many would you count?
I don't know. I don't think it's 10. Maybe it's 10. And so I don't, like if we're talking, let's say even in a glorious version, there are 10 things, that is such a small amount of media to represent this many people. So the nature of the comment confuses me. Yeah.
So I'm glad that you picked up when you did, because this is kind of the flip side of that. This is someone who says that Muslims in my cohort are not ready to face the facts that Muslims do sin and that grapple with their identity, especially if they are first generation. Only difference is it's on TV. It's not a rejection of the deen or the religion, and it's not an attempt to assimilate with Hollywood.
Oh, who's that? That's my person right there. I mean, that is how I feel. This is not about assimilation. Look, there's a lot of sex in this show. I do not think at any moment I have equated sexual freedom with freedom.
It's a lot of sex.
But this is something that doesn't bring, these characters aren't like having sex and saying, wow, I did it, this is the truth. I think that there's a lot of dissatisfaction because I think that's real life. So I don't think that we're putting anything up and saying this is the answer. I'm only interested in asking questions. That's the only thing that's exciting to me.
I like that because there's one of the scenes, and for our audience that have seen this, they will understand the scene, but I'll explain it for those who haven't, where your character goes into a liquor store and feels conflicted about buying alcohol for a friend, and then feels judged. You feel guilty because the person selling it to you is also Muslim. But if you know the religion, you know the faith, you're not supposed to be selling it either. And so your character feels guilty for buying it, but the man is selling it and he's judging you.
I missed that subtext, Malika. Thank you.
I've actually never even thought about that angle. Okay. That's so funny. I've never even thought about
the
that
layers
angle
of guilt that communities can have.
And then also what spoke to me, and I'm resisting telling you juicy bits because I want you to go and watch this on Hulu if you're in the States. Ramy says, I was so happy before I had sex.
Yes.
He was so happy. Like he didn't question plots. And everything was birds and bees and happiness and rainbows. And then he had sex and then it got complicated.
Well, that's one of the most genuine moments when we really get to the core of like what's in his heart is that he feels a little plagued by what's going on.
But he's also a major player and he's got game.
But it's something that, that scene in the mosque, a lot of the scenes in the mosque are really important to me because, to me, I feel like I established the character that when he has a problem, he goes to pray. When he's trying to figure his life out, he uses that as an outlet. I mean, this is a real connection that he feels.
Do you know what I also enjoy in Ramy, in the 10 episodes? The women are very important and what happens to the women and how they are grappling with what is happening with their family lives and also what is happening with their faithful lives is really important. So let's have a look at Dina. Dina is Ramy's sister in the series. She's played by May
Kalamawi.
Exactly. And she gets frustrated that their parents treat her differently than her brother. Have a look.
Ma, where are the keys? I can't find them.
Where are you going?
I'm going out.
طب eat, habibi.
Yeah, I gotta go though.
At least take some ba'lawa with you, okay? You'll be hungry later.
Ba'lawa is filled with sugar.
No way.
Yeah.
It's natural. It's honey from bees.
There's honey.
Yeah. The keys are in my purse near the ba'lawa.
Okay, I'm going to Fatma's tonight.
Again, Dina? This is the second time this week.
I'm 25 years old. Why is there a limit? Does anyone even care where Ramy goes? You guys never ask him where he is.
He just told me he's going out.
That's what I just said.
He literally gave you no information.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Love you, Mom.
Love you, Habibi. What time are you coming back?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm leaving.
Okay, Dina. Just don't be late.
Ramy, I noticed that a lot of the episodes that had a focus on the women characters were actually either directed by women or written by women.
Yeah.
Did you just say, okay, ladies, you take this one away because I want it to be from your genuine experience and not from mine?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it was really important. I mean, we, as a producing team, I made this with my friends, and we're men. In our hiring process, every hire we made was a woman, and it's not even on some needing to check a box. It was really, no, we want to expand, we want to tell stories. I mean, we, in a 10-episode first season, which is not a lot of real estate, dedicated 2 full episodes to 2 types of women, right? So but these are only 2 certain types. So we're not covering everything. We can't. But it was really important to me, and that's the kind of thing where you have a show called Ramy and you go to a network and say, yeah, I'm not gonna be in 2 episodes. At first is like a complete eye roll, and then it became clear that it was the best thing for the show.
Because we're talking about women, there's like a few hot takes on their depiction in the show.
Yeah.
Zenny here says one of the first episodes of Ramy on Hulu, his first intentional date with a Muslim woman was hilarious. The scene highlighted a side of millennial first-generation women that's rarely shown. Women can have control of their sexuality and still embody traditional and cultural values. So that's a slight teaser for our audience that hasn't seen it. But another take, this is Mariam, and she says, it made me super uncomfortable that Ramy doesn't have a single healthy friendship with any Muslim women. And she takes a little dig here. She says, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the actor Ramy's in real life experience, but it would have been nice to see something aspirational in there. So I don't think she actually knows you, but Ramy, take this on. She says that she's disappointed in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, there's 10 episodes, so we're kind of taking a look at what we can handle and what we can take. So I was really interested in seeing genuine kind of love between men who are friends. I think the narrative often between guys is, bro, do whatever you can to not get married. It's the complete opposite in this show. I mean, you have friends who are trying to see the best for their buddy. And so in an era of like toxic masculinity, I really wanted to highlight men trying to take care of each other. And what I believe in all his relationships—
They try and get you married.
They're trying to get, they want the best for him. And I believe all his romantic relationships are, in my mind, healthy explorations that bring up thoughtful points. So in terms of, Ramy not having a friend who is platonic in the show, I would love to see that. And we have 10 episodes, and like I said, 3 of them I'm not even in. And just because you don't see it, you also, don't really see me use the bathroom much in the show, but I use the bathroom.
But we do see
I really do.
We do see other elements of the bathroom, which again speaks to sort of the realism that you're trying to portray, because most TV shows don't go into the bathroom.
Sure.
And I will just leave it at that.
We use the bathroom twice in the show, and I swear I use it much more in real life.
But both very memorable
just
times.
just because it's not happening, and I think I get the. There's a little bit of like resentment behind that statement. I understand it. I mean, we're in like male-dominated media. I can't help that I am a man and I'm in this situation of being a man. It's a ton comes with it, but and I'm not saying like. I'm not saying that like, oh, woe is me. No, I get it. And that's why all our hires have been the way that they have. I am so excited for any person.
Are you apologizing for being a man?
No, I'm just. It is what it is. And so when people are like, we want a Dina spinoff, it's like, me too. And I would love to get a second season and make that show or support that show in any way that I can.
Diversity is so important in this show in so many ways. One, just portraying a family who happen to be Muslim, Arab, American. So you've got that, so you've got the diversity of just seeing their lives, but also diversity in the way that the show is cast, going right across the board. Let me give you a little clip here. This was shared by you, Ramy, but also 2 of the characters, Ramy, the TV character, and Steve, Ramy's TV friend. It gets complicated in a moment, but let's start here.
I always appreciate the diverse perspective that you 2 brought to this company. Ramy, with your Mediterranean flair, and Steve, every day you reminded me that things could be so much worse. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
So that made me laugh a lot, but also the character of Steve is played by an actor called Steve Way, who in real life, there's a connection. But let me go to Malika, because one of our audience members noticed that too.
They saw you on Instagram this morning, and they took a screen grab. So here's Mo for America, who says one of Ramy's episodes is about helping his friend Steve, who is diagnosed with muscular dystrophy, go on a date. Ramy posted this photo on Instagram. Are they friends in real life? If yes, for how long, and how did they meet?
Yeah, this is a picture of us in high school 10 years ago. We graduated in, like a month or two from now in 2009. So it's like 10 years ago.
Oh, goodness.
And
10-year challenge right there.
That's a 10-year challenge.
Yeah.
But we've known each other since we were like 8 or 9. So I guess I've known him for like 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's been just a huge part of my life, and someone that I always knew was really funny and a really talented comedian that can barely get on stage because of accessibility issues.
Sure.
So his access to a career path versus mine is like so much more limited. And so the opportunity to spotlight him on this show is really exciting.
I've been talking about TV Ramy, and Ramy, who's sitting right in front of us. There's a beautiful picture here that I love, which is the actor who plays, I think he's Elijah, who plays you as a young boy.
Yeah, Alicia.
And then you directing him in that episode. And then that's the question about how much of Ramy in the TV series is you, and how much is your life, and how much is your imagination. It feels very blurred from our conversation today.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a skewed reality. So in real life, I think my family, when they watch this show, I think they feel a little bit of separation, because they're like, okay, that's not us.
Yeah.
I tried to imagine a family that was a little less communicative than my own. And I also tried to imagine my life if I wasn't a writer and comic and all of these things, where I have a creative outlet. Like, what would it look like if I was more stuck? What would it look like if I was more aimless? And how would it feel to be in a slightly different type of family, but still have a lot of the feelings that I do? And so it's dramatized for that.
Sure.
So a lot of the dynamics between me and Steve, and even me and Mo, and me and Dave, who plays Ahmed, are rooted in our real life energy, but where we take it, again, is to feed and to grow that interrogation, which is to keep this as introspective as possible. Yeah.
So I want to play a video comment we got from someone who wrote this piece, because look at the headline: Hulu's terrific new series Ramy is a show I wish I'd had growing up as a Muslim American. So the person behind that sent us this comment. You can take a look at this. This is Samir Abadi, who's at Fast Company.
I feel that Ramy's depiction of a first-generation Arab-American millennial is a step in breaking the mold of the Arab caricature. It's bringing into the mainstream a generation that hasn't been able to widely explore their identity or vulnerability on screen, and is willing to do the work of asking difficult questions of the culture itself, from its proud moments to its flaws and contradictions. It's taking steps to humanize the Arab-American experience.
So humanizing that experience. Another person here on YouTube, this is Javier, says, I hope the series can definitely provide a look into the social pressures and cultural stigmas that first generation people and immigrants go through, which I think our audience is saying you have done. Yeah. So in getting this made, what was the biggest challenge there?
I think, we're in a spot where Hollywood is actually finally kind of coming around to being excited about these stories. It's why when people are like, there should be a version of the show with a woman, that I'm very sure that will happen, and I'm excited for that to happen, because I think there's an eagerness to that. I would say the part that actually is a little bit more difficult to get in is the faith stuff, and that is the stuff that I really, fought for and feel really happy with how we got in there.
Ramy, I'm just going to end here with a tweet that you shared earlier. Yeah. My show, Ramy, is now streaming on Hulu, and this is how I feel. Can you say that word? What is that feeling right there?
Oh,
that
man.
little munchkin.
I can't say the word. That's why I shared the picture.
Oh, yeah, it looks like I did this and I'm proud.
I don't even, it's just that's the vibe. That's all I can say. It's just that's the vibe.
It's so great having you here on the stream.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. Malika, how have people been reacting online?
If they haven't watched it, I think everyone will want to after this show.
You can see Ramy, if you're in the US, streaming on Hulu right now. Until next time, Malika and I will see you online. Thanks for watching.